Welcome to your Research Business Daily Report, sponsored today and this week by B2B Panel from USAMP. Last week we shared snippets on a couple of different occasions from an extensive interview we did with former Synovate CEO and COO Robert Philpott. The interview actually is much lengthier than normal, and we wanted to share a good deal of the rest of it with you today. And here goes. Please be patient. It is lengthier, as I mentioned, than we normally do provide you, but believe me, the information in many, many ways is well worth your while. It seems to me that the industry, since I've been in it for 19 years now, has strongly evolved from one that was methodologically driven to one that is entrepreneurial driven. Do you agree?
I still think there's an incredible amount of methodological drive within the industry. There certainly is entrepreneurial spirit, I think, particularly in the smaller companies within the industry. We saw it certainly with the online panel companies that emerged, but they have become mainstream today, and actually anybody can access online panels. Actually, they've become a commodity, and I'm not sure whether ultimately it wasn't just the first few people who were involved in online who made the money out of it, but I don't think that there was enduring profitability or increased profitability from online. I think online was and is given away too cheaply in many cases. So I'm not sure that online would be the case study that I would use as a way to highlight the future.
Mm-hmm. But is there internally within particularly middle or larger sized companies, is there a struggle between methodological rigor and the entrepreneurial drive and needs that investment brings with it?
I think there is. To me, that's not always the biggest struggle, though. I think the biggest struggle is the fact that many of the larger companies have spent considerable amounts of money on methodologies that have now, well, they've had their day. But the trouble is there's still a lot of money invested in them, and you would need to write off a significant amount of investment in order to move to the next one. So I think the biggest barrier is not the methodological barrier. I think it is the investment barrier, and it's the financial barrier, which doesn't allow companies to move forward. But there's a second point that I've noticed in the with really the mobile platforms, and that's the hesitation of market researchers in general to take the lead in promoting it to clients directly. Most people who are coming to One Point Global, the company that I'm involved with there in that space, most of those are coming because clients ask them, not because they are proactively promoting new methodologies themselves. So I think there's a general lack of sales mentality in market research companies in general at the mid and larger size. It's about servicing accounts. And I think there's a hesitation in bigger companies because they've got an investment barrier or a write-off of past investment.
Do you think the client side of research is intensely interested in what new technologies can deliver? Or is it, as I perceive it to be, a situation where many clients are inundated with new capabilities that were integrated into their business in the last 2 or 3 or 5 years, and they're still coping with those things like online communities and such?
Right.
That's just one example.
Yeah.
And from what I hear from the clients that I speak to, they have neither the capacity or the time right now,
yes,
to really welcome in new capabilities that are going to take a lot of their time, even if it's an agency doing a lot of the work for them. Am I on or off it from your standpoint?
I think you're right on with that. I've talked to some of my previous clients, and that is the case. They're all for something these days that's going to make it cheaper and make their budgets be more effective. They're all for things that are going to give them greater insight, and they're all for faster availability of information so they can be responsive internally. But they're not going to invest a ton of time. They generally don't have the staff these days either. The client research departments have mostly shrunk in size. They don't have the time to invest in it, and they're looking for agencies to come with a leadership point of view around how things should be done. I'm not sure that they get that from the bigger agencies in general. I think they get some smart thinking in there, but on an operational level, I'm not sure that they get that point of view. And hence, all of these smaller companies with all the great new ideas are always knocking on the same doors, trying to bring it in directly.
Yeah, with nobody to answer the phone or to
That's it. But when they knock the door, at least the perception of the client is, hey, the leadership has been taken by these guys. These are the guys who are knocking. Yet I'm inviting through the door a group of other folks over here who give me what I had yesterday.
Am I also correct that when you are a new technology, a new capability, it's very hard to break into a company that's already got its core vendor list basically put in stone?
Right. And it's equally difficult then to break into the vendor list whenever they have the barriers that are there. So everybody seems to be waiting for somebody to make the move. That move should be taken by the largest companies, as it is in other industries in general. But I don't see that level of movement or desire to move forward existing at quite the level that it should in those larger agencies.
Speaking of a core list, looking at it from a slightly different perspective, are there clients that are well known from the vendor side that you know have an open ear to talk to if you've got something really new and exciting? And I'm talking beyond the P&Gs and the General Mills who have reputations of that sort.
Yes, there are people. I think it's more to do with the individual than it is necessarily with the company that perhaps they work for. But there are people who are particularly forthright or have a particular vision about what they think the future of information will look like or market research will look like. And it's important to get their point of view. I think they're frustrated as well in the industry.
I'm asking you to kind of talk out of school. Can you share some of those names? I may not use this in the video, but I'd be real curious to know who some of those people are.
I would always have a conversation with Lorna Walters, for example, at Reckitt Benckiser. Lorna's always... Lorna will make her opinions known very quickly. You'll know whether you have a good idea or a bad idea. And I had a great debate with her recently about whether or not the client should tell the research company what to do or the research company should tell the client what to do.
Who won that battle?
It was a very uneven battle. Let me tell you.
Lorna is always right.
Yeah, Lorna's view is very clearly that she would not expect to be telling the research company what to do, or else she did not have the right research company. My view was that if there wasn't pressure from the client side, that research company would be bringing her the same ideas 3 years from now.
Thanks for your patience and for your viewership. And thank you also to USAMP and its B2B panel, which has been the sponsor for this week's Research Business Daily Report. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all again on Monday.